Welcome back to another budget photography video. In my hand right here is the Lumix GX7. It is a micro four thirds mirrorless camera, and this has been my main video camera for one main reason, and that is because it has continuous autofocus. If I sit back here, I go out to focus on this camera, but if I come back, I should be, in theory, back in focus. Now, let's run through some information about it. It was released back in 2013. It has 16 megapixels. As I said, it is a micro four thirds camera, so the lenses on it are just tiny little things, which is really good. It can shoot 1080p video at 24, 30 and 50 frames per second, which is actually pretty good. It's all selectable. You have full manual control over the video, which unlike this camera here, I don't have any manual control. It's kind of like, this camera here is like a point and shoot. While yes, I've got a nice stabilized lens, without stabilization on the lens, it's just bleh. Anyway, this has IBIS, in-body stabilization, so which means that rather than the lens being stabilized itself, the sensor itself is stabilized on 2 axes, which basically means you can get 1 to 2 stops of stabilization. Now, as I said, this has 16 megapixels. It shoots 9 FPS RAW, which, to be fair, isn't too bad. And I'll show you that. This is in silent mode. And I'll show you what that sounds like. And there's the buffer. So 9 FPS RAW. It also has what I would call a pervy mode, but it's called silent shooting, so I can take pictures without even making a noise. I'm taking pictures right now and nothing. It's got an absolute silent mode, but I'd call that a pervy mode because why would you need silent shooting? Why? Then again, I suppose if you're shooting a wedding, if you're at a wedding or a funeral or something, but this isn't a professional camera. This is a consumer grade camera. Now, as I said, this has in-body stabilization and it also has continuous autofocus. That's my cat. And it also has continuous autofocus, which means it's good for vlogging, but it is missing one important thing, and that would be a microphone import. There is no mic jack on it. Jack has been left out. It does have a mini HDMI port, a AV lead and a remote port as well for remote shooting. But to be fair, because this has inbuilt Wi-Fi and NFC, you don't really need to carry around a remote because your smartphone or tablet can work as the remote itself. So as I said, I've had this camera now for a few months and it's been great. I've been shooting videos with it, I've been shooting photos. It's nice and small and compact. I've been able to leave my big cameras behind, especially if I'm going to a family event. I don't really want to carry around a big 5D Mark II or my 500D, because even though this is a small camera, it's got a battery grip, it's got this, it's got that, so it's still quite a big setup. Whereas this fits in my pocket, so it's really just compact. Now, I have been on the street shooting with this to get some street photography shots, and it's really nice. The main thing that I like about it is the EVF. Now, I'm not an EVF kind of guy. I like optical viewfinders, hence the fact as to why I brought the 5D and why I've got DSLRs still rather than mirrorless. But this EVF, it's quite bright, and the fact that it's a tilting EVF, which means that I can look down as if it was some sort of rangefinder or twin lens reflex camera, is actually quite nice. Now, I've been walking around with my 5D, and the amount of times that people have asked me to delete the shots because it is such a big and quite threatening camera to put in someone's face, whereas this, it looks unprofessional. It's just looked like some kind of little happy snapper, and that's kind of what you can be. You can kind of just switch it into auto mode and just snap away. It has got creative filters onto it. It has got a full manual mode where you can have full manual control of the ISO, the shutter speed and the aperture. Now, it has a native ISO of 100 all the way up to 3200 non-expandable, which is not that bad. I personally wouldn't go past 800 and max out at 1600 myself because of noise, so you really want to dial in that aperture and shutter speed to compensate for the ISO. But for the price that you pay, this is still a really good camera in 2020. Now, yeah, it does have a pretty small looking battery, but that will still last you most of the day. Maybe not, all depending on how much you use it. If you are obviously using it heavier, then yeah, I wouldn't advise you take this on a professional shoot. But if you're just taking pictures of the family, if you're doing some street photography, or you're just filming for YouTube like I do, this is my YouTube video camera, then yes, the Lumix GX7 is a perfect camera. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me in this video, and I hope to see you on Wednesday.